The Brony Adventures 4, Chapter 60, Memories Faded. In Dusthorn's and Rainbow Dash's room, Dusthorn lands beside the bed and says, "My little girl, are you okay?" Skula says, "I'm fine." Dusthorn says, "Baby girl, no you're not, but don't worry, Daddy's here. I promise you, you will get better." Skula smiles and says, "Daddy, you worry too much." "I'm fine, really." Nurse Red Heart says, Can I talk to you in the hallway, King Thunderstorm?" Thunderstorm says, "Yeah, sure." They walk into the hallway. Nurse Red Heart says, "She has an earth disease known as the flu." Thunderstorm says, "The flu? That's all?" Nurse Red Heart says, "I'm afraid it's quite bad. It's really hurting her. She could die." Tears run down Thunderstorm's cheeks, and he says, "No, no, she can't. She's my little girl, my baby. I can't lose her." Nurse Red Heart says, "Do you know how she could have gotten it?" Thunderstorm says, "From me. I went to Earth for that stupid war and I came back. Before the others did. I was the first Brony from Earth to touch her. I hugged her, and now she could die." He bows his head and closes his eyes tight. He falls to his knees and says, "I couldn't live on if she died. I don't care about Equestria dying. I care about my baby girl." He starts crying. Nurse Red Heart says, "You're from Earth, and so are your friends. How do you fight this disease?" Thunderstorm says, "I'm not from Earth. I was born in Dark Pony territory, in my dad's castle. The deep, wretched, and David Vidor from Earth. I don't know how to cure it." Thunderstorm's eyes shoot open, and he stands up and says, "But I'll find out." He walks down the hallway. Nurse Red Heart says, "He doesn't remember. What's going on?" At David's and Charlie's house, the door swings open. Thunderstorm says, "David!" David says, "Yeah? Whoa!" Thunderstorm lifts David up against the wall and says, "Tell me how to cure your Earth disease known as the flu." Dave says, "My Earth disease? You're from Earth too, and I don't know how to cure it." Thunderstorm says, "Liar!" Dave says, "Ah!" The wall cracks. Thunderstorm says, "Tell me!" Dave says, "I don't really know." Thunderstorm says, "And I know you're lying because you said I'm from Earth, and I'm not from Earth. I was born in Dark Pony territory, in my dad's castle. I grew up in my mother's castle. I went to the same school as Apple and Sweetie Belle and Scootaloo." "Stop lying! I need to know! Scootaloo could die!" Dave says, "You really don't remember, do you?" Gentle Armor appears. Dave says, "I honestly don't know. I promise. Cross my heart and hope to fly. Stick a cupcake in my eye." Thunderstorm drops David. Dave says, "Ow." Thunderstorm says, "If I find out you're lying, my daughter won't be the only lead daughter that dies." He leaves the house. Dave says, "We need Jacob back." In Thunderstorm's and Rainbow Dash's room, Thunderstorm walks up to Scootaloo. Scootaloo says, "Hey, Daddy." "You've been crying. What's wrong?" Thunderstorm says, "Nothing. Get some sleep. You need your strength." Scootaloo smiles and says, "I love you, Daddy." She slowly closes her eyes. Thunderstorm says, "I love you too, baby girl." Thunderstorm walks into the hallway and screams. He sets his armor into the wall and says, "It's not fair! Why her? She doesn't deserve this." His eyes glow blood red, and he screams. His eyes go blank. He looks out the window towards David's and Shirley's house. Dash says, "Don't." She walks up to him and says, "It won't fix anything." Thunderstorm. Thunderstorm's eyes focus. He looks around in confusion and says, Dashy, you stopped it." Dash says, "Because you can always hear me." Thunderstorm says, "What are we going to do? I can't let Scootaloo die." Tears fall down his cheeks, and he says, "But I can't do anything about it." Dash says, "Don't give up. You'll find a way. I know you will." She hugs him and wraps her wings around him. Thunderstorm says, "Thanks, Dashy." Dash says, "I will always save you." Thunderstorm kisses her and says, "And I will always save you." They start kissing. End of chapter 60. The Brony Avengers 4, chapter 61, An Unexpected Friend. The next day, Storm and Rainbow wake up, cuddled up into each other, still in the hallway. Storm kisses her on the cheek and says, I love you. Rainbow smiles and says, I love you too. Storm smiles back. He stands up and walks to Scootaloo. Scootaloo says, Hey, Daddy. Ow. Storm says, You'll be fine. I promise. I won't let you go. A portal opens. Storm walks through it. He enters a hospital on Earth. He goes up to a nurse and says, I need a doctor. Quickly. The nurse screams, Ah! She runs off. Storm says, Humans. A guy says, Wonder what's wrong with Shannon. Do you know, little guy? Storm says, Do not insult me like that, and I won't break your arm, human. The guy says, A talking pony. Now I've seen it all. Storm says, Are you a doctor? The guy says, Yes, why? Storm says, My daughter is very sick with the flu and needs your help. The guy says, The flu, huh? We better move fast. Storm says, This way. Right through this portal. The guy says, A portal. I've been working too long. He walks through the portal and looks around in amazement. Storm says, Doctor? The doctor says, Right, sorry, and my name is Ben. Storm says, Mine is Thunderstorm. Ben says, Nice to meet you, Thunderstorm. He holds out his hand. Thunderstorm shakes it and says, Likewise. Ben says, I actually felt that. This is one weird and amazing dream. Oh man, she looks sad and bad. Thunderstorm says, I know. Scootaloo says, A human, an actual human. Ben says, Oh man, I got a lot of work to do. I'm going to have to ask you to leave. Thunderstorm says, Whatever makes her better. He leaves the room and closes the door. Rainbow says, well, Was that a human? Thunderstorm says, Yes. If the doctor here can't cure her, the one from Earth can. If he doesn't, I'll kill him the slowest way possible. Rainbow says, I'm surprised you trust him enough to bring him here. You hate humans. Thunderstorm says, I have no choice. Weeks later, Ben opens the door and says, You may come in now. Thunderstorm says, Is she better now? Ben says, She's still weak, but she will recover. It seems to hurt you ponies a lot worse than humans, but she'll be okay in a couple of months. Thunderstorm looks at Scootaloo sleeping and says, She's still breathing. Thank you. Ben says, Happy to. She's a great girl. Thunderstorm says, I know. She's my whole world. Ben says, I know what you mean. I have 2 little girls myself. I couldn't live without them. Thunderstorm says, You're an okay human. Here, have this. Ben says, What is it? Thunderstorm says, A magical crystal. If you ever want to come back, just hold it and think about this place. Ben says, Thanks. Maybe I will one day when I have had some bad coffee again. A portal opens. Thunderstorm says, Goodbye, Ben. Ben says, Goodbye, Thunderstorm. He walks through the portal. It closes. Thunderstorm looks up to Scootaloo and says, You're going to be just fine. He kisses her on her forehead and says, Just fine. Jane and Kate run into the room and say, Whoa, is she okay? Thunderstorm says, She's just fine. What do you 2 want? Jane says, We were wondering. Kate says, If you wanted to race. Thunderstorm says, Always. Let's go. Jane and Kate say, Yay! Thunderstorm says, Shh. Your sister is sleeping. Jane and Kate whisper, Sorry. They leave the room with Thunderstorm. A few months later, Thunderstorm says, Where's Scootaloo? Scootaloo says, But I'm not tired anymore. Really, Daddy? I'm better. Thunderstorm smiles and says, I know, I'm just worried. He hugs her and says, I don't want you to get sick again. Scootaloo says, I won't, I promise. Thunderstorm says, Thanks, Scoot. I love you, my little girl. Scootaloo says, I love you too, Daddy. Can I go play with Applebloom and Sweetbow now? Thunderstorm smiles and says, Sure, be careful. Scootaloo says, Dad. Thunderstorm says, I'm sorry, baby girl. Go, play. Scootaloo says, Yay! Thanks, Daddy! Thunderstorm smiles even wider and says, You're welcome, baby girl. End of Chapter 61. Brony Adventures 4, Chapter 62. The Secret Destiny. At a cliff, Jane and Kate walk up to Thunderstorm and say, "What's wrong?" Thunderstorm says, "Just thinking about something that I've known for a long time." Jane says, "What is it?" Kate says, "Please." Thunderstorm says, "I was born to be the counteraction of Draconics, a pony that could actually give him a challenge or kill him. But being a counteraction gives you many weaknesses yourself. I have 10 weaknesses." Kate says, "So you were born to kill Draconics?" Thunderstorm says, "No. I was born so that if Draconics ever went evil, a pony would be able to stop him. It's why I have a ranger form. My one true destiny is being the hero of light. This is like a secondary destiny. Not as important, but still needed. I've seen how he loses control when he goes demon form. He can't control it at all, but I can control my ranger form. I'll be able to outthink and outmaneuver. I think it's the reason why he's never challenged me for complete power. He knows I'd be a challenge. He is my brother. I hope I never had to fight him to the death." Jane says, "Are you afraid of dying?" Thunderstorm says, "I've died 4 times. It never stops being scary." The wind blows. Thunderstorm says, "Hello, brother." Draconic says, "How did you know I was here?" Thunderstorm says, "The wind tells many things. What do you want?" Draconic says, to help you with your anger problem. I found Ecratia's best therapist." Thunderstorm turns around to face Draconic and says, "A therapist won't help. You know that. My ranger spirit is what fuels my anger problem." Draconic says, "I figure it might help a little." Thunderstorm says, "It won't." Kate says, "Daddy, is there a pony that's your weakness?" Thunderstorm says, "Yes. Nova and Black Dawn together make a pony or team that can defeat me. You see, girls, even though I am Ecratia's protector, I'm not invincible. No pony is. Even Draconis has weaknesses, like water, or if he dies 4 times, he stays dead. Permanently." Draconis says, "Why don't you just give them a list and my blueprints while you're at it?" Thunderstorm smiles, looking at Jane and Kate, and says, "They're good girls. My 2 little, as humans say. Blessings." Jane and Kate hug Thunderstorm and say, We love you, Daddy." Thunderstorm says, I love you both too." Draconis says, "You're getting things from humans now? Do you even know what a blessing is?" Thunderstorm says, "A gift." Draconis says, "Wow, right on your first guess." Thunderstorm says, "Jane, Kate, go play with Apple and Sweetbelle and your sister. Me and Draconis need to talk." Jane and Kate say, "Okay," they run off. Thunderstorm says, "They're already starting to forget their real father. I think they're doing it on purpose. They're running away from the pain by replacing him with me. I think, Celestia, that they're not hurting it anymore, but I don't want it to stop by them running away from the truth." Draconis says, maybe it's for the best. They're just little girls. They can face it when they're older." Thunderstorm says, "By then they really would have forgotten him." Draconis says, "Things happen for a reason. We don't decide how they happen. Fate does. You're meant to be there, to take them in, to take the hurt away, to be their father." Thunderstorm says, "Maybe. They tell me their mother died of some earth disease called cancer." Draconis says, "Cancer? What kind?" Thunderstorm says, "They don't know." "That's right. You were once human. That's how you know it. Listen, brother, I will renew you as my co-king if you promise to help me keep Jane and Kate safe. Also promise that you will never hurt Fluttershy. She's so timid and shy. I can't help but look out for her every time I'm around her." Draconis says, "I promise." Cross my heart and hope the fly stick a cupcake in my eye. I will never hurt Fluttershy. Anyway, I love her with all my heart, like you and Rainbow Dash." Thunderstorm smiles and says, "Dashy, I understand. Keep her safe." Draconis smiles and says, "I will." Thunderstorm walks away. Draconis looks at the sunset and says, "I will always keep her safe." And Chapter 62. The Brony Adventures 4, Chapter 63, True Love. Outside, in the middle between Draconis and Dunsworth's castle, Jane screams, "You're it!" Alvin screams, "Get back here!" Scaloo runs by, giggling. Sleebell says, "I'll catch you!" Dunsworth smiles, watching them. Rarity looks up and says, "Can you see it, Jewel?" And start playing with each other like that. Dunsworth says, "Yeah." Rarity says, "Here's your daughter. I figure we can each have her for a certain amount of months." Dunsworth grabs Jewel and says, "Sounds good. Thanks, Rare." Rarity smiles and says, "She is your daughter, too." Dunsworth kisses her on the forehead and says, "I meant for not holding anything against me." Rarity blushes and says, I never could." Dunsworth says, "Rare, go after Soul Silver. He's a good pony. He loves you. Don't throw away the pony that loves you for." Rarity says, "For a better pony that makes me feel so warm, safe, protected, and loved. Who always thinks about other ponies, no matter who they are." Dunsworth says, "But I don't love you like Soul Silver does. I never could. I love Dashi, and Soul Silver loves you." Rarity says, "He left me." Dunsworth says, "Just explain that Jewel came from the amulet and he'll apologize." Tears appear in Rarity's eyes, and she says, "But I love you." Dunsworth smiles and says, "You love Soul Silver too. He gave you Sapphire and all his love." Rarity says, "You're right. I love Soul Silver too." Dunsworth says, "Too." Rarity says, "I love you both, but I can only have one. I'm going to go find Soul Silver. Take care of our little girl." Dunsworth says, "I will. I promise." Rarity smiles and runs off. Sonia says, "Wow." Dunsworth says, "Sonia?" Sonia says, that must have been hard." Dunsworth says, "No, it wasn't. She belongs with Soul Silver." Sonia says, "You still have some love for her. It's little, but there." Dunsworth says, "I know, but it's little for a reason. I love Dashi, and every moment I'm with her, it gets smaller and smaller." Sonia smiles and says, "I know. Every pony knows." Dunsworth says, "Thanks. Do you need something?" Sonia says, "I wouldn't mind getting to know the pony that helped bring me into existence." Dunsworth says, "Alright, let's walk and talk." Sonia says, "Sounds good." Dunsworth says, "Have you found your special sun pony yet?" Sonia says, "No. I've met plenty of nice stallions, but..." Dunsworth says, "Stallions? I thought that since your mother I thought that since your mothers are..." Sonia says, "No. Plenty of ponies have thought the same thing. I'm not attracted to mares." Dunsworth says, "Surprising. Very surprising." Sonia says, "Just because my parents are lesbians doesn't mean I have to be, too." Dunsworth says, "I know. But didn't you ever question?" Sonia says, "Yes, but I always find myself thinking about stallions, not mares." Dunsworth says, "Well, I'm glad. You'll get to meet a nice stallion and have a family." Sonia says, "I know. Can I see Star?" Dunsworth says, "Sure." In Dunsworth's and Rainbow Dash's room, Dunsworth says, "Here he is." Sonia says, "He's adorable." Dunsworth says, "You take after Octavia, don't you?" Sonia says, "What do you mean?" Dunsworth says, "You don't talk or act like Vinyl." Sonia says, "I got her personality and Mom's looks." Dunsworth says, "Yep, you're as beautiful as Vinyl." Sonia says, "Oh, thank you." She blushes and says, "Mom told me you called her beautiful one time." Dunsworth says, "She is." Sonia says, "I bet Star will be a great pony." Star lifts his hooves up at Sonia. Sonia picks him up. Dunsworth says, "It looks like he likes you." Sonia smiles and says, "He's so cute." Dunsworth says, "Maybe I brought you back at the wrong time." Sonia says, "What do you mean?" Dunsworth says, "I can feel it. Yours and Star's futures are intertwined." Sonia says, "What does that mean?" Dunsworth says, "You're holding your future husband." Sonia says, "What? He's a little baby." Dunsworth says, "You can be too." Sonia says, "Be a baby again?" Thunderstorm says, "That's right. Dark ponies aren't only dark magic, they have their own magic too. Their own spells. Pretty much for anything, including age spells. Permanent ones and temporary ones. Why do you think Scoot, Bloom, and Sweetie haven't changed back to full-grown mares? I use a permanent dark pony age spell. They'll grow up normally, like they were never full-grown." Sonia says, "I'll do it." Thunderstorm says, "Good." He closes his eyes. His horn starts to glow. The wind picks up outside. Sonia starts to glow. Thunderstorm slowly opens his eyes. They're glowing completely white. Sonia says, "Thunderstorm?" Thunderstorm says, "With the hooves of time reverse." Sonia says, "That's not Thunderstorm's voice." Thunderstorm says, "With your curse, bring upon she, a baby." It swirls around Sonia. Sonia says, Who are you?" Sonia's entire body glows white. Slowly she turns into a baby. A few minutes later, it's done. Thunderstorm's horn stop glowing and his eyes stop glowing white. He falls to his knees and says, "I forgot about this part." He blacks out. A few minutes later, Twilight says, "Thunderstorm! Thunderstorm!" Thunderstorm slowly opens his eyes and says, "Twilight?" Twilight says, "What happened? Where did this baby beat come from?" Thunderstorm says, "Baby." He looks at Sonia and says, "Sonia!" Twilight says, This is Sonia? What happened?" Thunderstorm says, "I tried to do a very powerful dark pony A spell. It really drains me, so I black out after I do it." Twilight says, "Then you should have gotten another pony to help you. You could have killed yourself." Thunderstorm says, "I'm fine." He slowly stands up and stumbles. Twilight says, You're not fine. Sit down." Thunderstorm falls on his flank and says, "I didn't know this room could spin." Twilight says, "Thunderstorm? Thunderstorm!" He blacks out. Twilight screams, "Thunderstorm!" And up chapter 63. Thank you for coming back. Thank you for listening, and see you next time.